Alright, everybody. It is November 3rd at noon, and that means it is Game Wisdom Game Jam Volume 2 time. So, for today's video, it is time to reveal what will be your theme for the next 10 days of, I'm sure will be very easy, game design challenge. So, the theme for this volume. After the first one, I got a lot of complaints from people saying I picked something very hard, it was very complicated. You know, stuff like that. The evil laugh has nothing to do with this. It was another thought I had in my head. So, without further ado, the theme for this jam, I like to call it, might as well jump, or whatever. For our very simple challenge this time, I want you to simply redefine jumping in a game. So, those of you watching this right now, this is a good litmus test of your own knowledge and skill when it comes to game design. Some of you may be thinking, Josh picked something very easy. A few of you are probably thinking, why does Josh hate me and my life for the next 10 days? You see, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks for this one because I think this is a lot harder challenge than last time. Jumping as a mechanic is something that is as old as the industry itself. It is by far the most used mechanic by developers when they're starting out, when they're trying to learn any kind of reflex-driven game. I have played and forgotten more platformers than probably all of you combined watching this have done. It is a genre that, or is a mechanic that on the outside is very simple. It's why a lot of novice developers and even experienced developers will think, I'm going to pair jumping with X. RPGing, racing, fighting, shooting, whatever. But the differences between a bad, good, and master class in terms of jumping and this kind of mechanic are very wide. And it is incredibly easy to mess up when it comes to this. So, I talked about a whole lot of this in my first deep dive on platformers. And as a special bonus, if you can prove to me that you have bought a copy of the book, I will give you a 10th of a point for your score or your game that you send in. All you have to do is show me 10 copies and you'll get 1 free point. And who knows, that may be the difference between first and second place, considering we have more judges and more criteria or more judging results or reviews this time around. So, for this one, when we talk about jumping in of itself, you want to, or you're going to have to focus on one or all these three areas. How the character leaps off the ground, what they do in the air, and what happens when they land. And either any or all of those should be a focus of what you should be thinking about when it comes to your challenge or for your entry. Now, it's very important for me to explain to you what I do and don't want for this one. So what I don't want you to do is the kind of 3D platforming style where all the jumps are kind of built off your standard jump and are simply modifiers. So if we look at something like Mario Odyssey, this is when we have, okay, you have a single jump, a double jump, a triple jump, a sliding jump, a side jump, a backflip jump, a dive jump, a cappy jump, ground pound jump, wall jump into a spin jump, into a cappy, into a fly, into a jump, and we can repeat this for the next 5 to 10 minutes. What I would like you to look at are games like VVVVVV, Bionic Commando, anything where the act of jumping is different. Here's a very interesting one. The spin jump from Super Mario World is a very underrated element of that game, but it is very interesting that Nintendo is one of the few developers to create a game that has two fundamentally different kinds of jumping. The spin jump has its own unique properties, it can be used in different situations, and many Kaizo developers have gone to great lengths to create unique challenges and really test your understanding of Mario's jump physics by requiring the spin jump in a lot more places. So here's a question I know someone's going to ask. can I build a game around two kinds of jumps? A stock jump that we see in a platformer, shooter, or whatever? Am I super weird, crazy, experimental? Can I my game jam entry jump? And the answer is yes. If you want to have two jumps in your game or two specifically different kinds of jumps, you can do that. But for the theme specifically, only your experimental jump will be graded for it. So this is where we could have a case where you could score a 5 out of 5 for gameplay and a 1 out of 5 for theme if you're not careful. As a final tip for those of you watching this before we end this video, I gave for this challenge that I want you to recontextualize jumping. I didn't say this had to be a platformer. Wink, wink, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, and all that. And just like before, I have come up with 3 topics or with 3 submissions of my own that would fit this theme. And we shall see if any one of you can once again earn that illustrious Josh point that sadly does not count for the review, but it is certainly there for bragging rights. And with that, the video is over. By now, the Discord will be updated with it. The Game Jam website or the itch.io page is updated with it. If you somehow missed me plugging and mentioning this for the last 15 days, you'll find links to the Game Jam down below. And with that, get going. You guys have, again, 10 days to November 13th at midnight to get things in, and then we'll start playing, judging, and I'm sure I will be breaking a lot of those games. Alright, and one final point. As we've said, UI UX does matter for these jams. And since I'm actually doing a design video about the importance of affordances and UI UX, if any of you use an unusual button for your jumping, like left button, start, F7, control, page up on a keyboard, I will personally deduct 800 points from your score. And I don't want like an I Am Spartacus moment where all of you just pick random buttons to assign your jumping to in solidarity. So, with that said, everyone, have a very great day, a very productive weekend, and see you when we get our judging stream going.